Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks so much. We appreciate everybody joining us this morning. What a wonderful guest and presentation we have this morning. My name is Nathaniel Bittman. I serve as the Association State President for this year here at the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals. And I'm joined this morning with my partner here at the Executive Committee, Mr. James Vinnie, who's our Secretary of the State. And thank you to our solutions, the solution, which is our management team, helping to deploy today's content. We appreciate everybody coming out today and spending a little bit of time. And we have another wonderful special guest today. We are always delighted with our partnership with the Office of Financial Regulation here in the state of Florida. We've had a partnership for many years and always exchange good, helpful information. And today we have a great speaker, Mr. Bill Morin. And Bill is currently the Bureau Chief for the Bureau of Registrations within the Office of Financial Regulation. Bill has been in the position since June of 2018, so congratulations. Prior to his appointment to Bureau Chief, Bill was supervisor and examiner for the Bureau of Enforcement. So some of you may have been examined by Bill, conducting examinations and complaint investigations as well. Bill was hired as a financial examiner analyst 1, I believe that's correct, within the Department of Banking and Finance, the OFR predecessor, in September of 2001 in West Palm Beach Regional Office. Bill graduated from Florida State University in 2001 and earned a bachelor's degree in finance, and later attended Troy University and earned a master's degree in management in 2010. Bill, thank you for your time today. We're excited to get an update from you.
Welcome. Thank you for the invitation, and appreciate the warm introduction. Have some information today that I hope everyone will find useful. So let me get started. Let's give an overview of just some of my topics today. Let's do a little introduction. Got some good license and application statistics. I got some up-to-date renewal statistics for you, and then some helpful renewal tips if you have not renewed.
Great.
Let me just read my disclaimer very quickly.
Please
The
do.
material in this presentation has been prepared by the Office of Financial Regulation, Division of Consumer Finance. Sorry. As a general background information about the division's activities as of the date of this presentation. This information is in summary form, does not purport to be complete. Information in this presentation, including state regulatory matters, should not be construed by members of the public as offering a legal opinion, legal advice, or an official interpretation of any statutory provision, rule, or order that may be relied upon by the public. The opinions expressed in this presentation and on the following slides are not necessarily the office's opinion. So we got that out of the way. We'll get to the good stuff now. Just to give you an overview of the office, Russ Weigel is our commissioner. He's the agency head. He's been in that position since 2020. Greg Oates is our director. He cannot be here today. He's essentially in charge of the entire division, the exam functionality, complaint functionality, fiscal functionality, and then registration functionality. Again, I'm the chief of the Bureau of Registration. Essentially, I'm in charge of all the applications that come in the door. Most of you on the call are probably familiar with the Division of Consumer Finance because you hold a mortgage license, either a loan originator or maybe a broker or lender license. The division actually handles about 24 unique license types. The division also handles licenses, small dollar lenders. Some of your lenders that will provide a loan for under $25,000, but have an interest rate greater than 18%. That's a company we would license. We also license retail installment sellers. You're probably most familiar with those. People who finance cars, people who finance appliances, people who might finance a service like a tree service. They'd require a license with us. We also license title loan lenders, commercial collection agencies, consumer collection agencies, and money transmitters, check cashers, payday lenders. So we do a lot more than just mortgage. Obviously, mortgage is our biggest area though. And Brandy Smith is our Bureau Chief of Enforcement. She's going to handle all the complaints and exams. Okay, so let's get to some license and application statistics. I did some homework on the mortgage industry and you guys, and wanted to share with you the active licenses that we have. This is as of December 7th, so this is fairly recent licensing information. Just did a 1-year look back. This about a year and a half.
Extraordinary.
Actually.
Extraordinary. Really remarkable.
This is just 1 year.
Yeah.
That's very healthy numbers, obviously. And I think everyone on the call probably no surprises here. I mean, I think once you see the numbers, it's definitely puts it in perspective, but I don't think there's any big surprises here.
I think some people would have thought that licensure may have came down a little bit. I don't know how much the Bureau does follow this part of it, but naturally the market has been drastically compressed and we're seeing a lot of changes because interest rates have drastically risen. I think what's important about this information, Bill, is that people can see that people would have thought that licensing would have came down because businesses dropped so significantly.
You're absolutely right. And I have some slides in a little bit, I think, that are going to support what you're saying. Nathaniel.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So I went a little bit further, did a 3-year look back. And for me, this is kind of like the pre-pandemic look. This is June of 2019. We're kind of 6 months out from the pandemic, from the housing boom, from the refinance boom. So obviously, again, extremely healthy numbers here. Again, the numbers, you kind of put it in perspective, but that's kind of the 3-year look back.
That's extraordinary. So a jump from 34,412 licenses to 71,223 from
Correct.
2019 to 2020,
Amazing.
107% growth in licensure.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So went back a little bit further. I thought this was great. So this is the 10-year look back. What's happened in the past decade with the industry in Florida? Mm-hmm. I thought this was great. None of these numbers are wrong. You can double check my math. Tremendous numbers. The mortgage broker branch, yes, that is a 1,500% increase in 10 years. I mean, that's amazing. I think of that as kind of like the small business growing there. A lot of the past couple of years, a lot of the loan originators we saw after maybe a year of licensure went out and got the mortgage broker license. They kind of started their own company, kind of a one-man shop, might have opened up some branches. So you can, and that's kind of reflected, in those numbers there. But that's tremendous.
Even the lender branch numbers is drastic as well too. I mean, that's a pretty big jump as well.
Yeah. Great numbers. Also did a little more, just want to do some research on, so I looked at all of our loan originators in terms of nationwide, where are they? So about a third of our Florida licensed loan originators actually live in Florida, about a third. In California, Michigan, Texas, and Arizona will be all the other states that are over 5%. These numbers are pretty consistent year to year. Florida kind of ticks between the 33 and 35% range. Went a little bit further. So we have all these, I just showed those slides, all this growth in the industry past 3 years, 10 years. So I was seeing, well, what's kind of our experience level? What's our experience level of our loan originators? And obviously, once I saw the pie chart, it made sense, but I didn't realize it was this much. But we've had so much growth. We got a lot of new loan originators. So you take a look at that, and I apologize here, this number is not coming through too clear, but this is 15% for the 5 to 8 year category. But essentially, about 47% of our loan originators have 3 years or less of experience. That's just based on the growth and people getting into the industry.
And Bill, you may have this slide, but when we look at that, that's a staggering number that close to half or 3 years or less, and almost a quarter, it's 1 year or less. Are you able to identify of that 40%, what percentage is actually outside of the state of Florida?
I don't have that readily available, Nathaniel, but that's something I could get to you if you really want it. We can talk about.
I think it'd be nice to see that for the business professionals that are on this call, or those that
Absolutely.
are kind of concerned about the competing market. It's nice to know how many people are out of state. So that's good
Yeah,
information to know
I'd
of
be
that
happy to
newer
get that.
population.
I'd be happy to
Yeah.
get that to you.
Right.
My suspicion, just my speculation is it's probably going to be the same, if not higher, for that lower level of experience, especially during COVID. A lot of states kind of have some more laws around, do I have to work at a brick and mortar?
Yeah.
We had a lot of
Yeah.
people come in from other states saying, Florida can allow me to work and I can be in another state, not necessarily have to drive somewhere, or have a distance requirement to a branch. So I think it might be actually a little higher for the out of states. I'll get that to you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Did the same exercise just with the broker lenders. Very similar stats, very similar. So we're 48%, going back to the, I'm sorry, almost 50%. What are we at?
Almost 50.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 50,
Well,
for
at
the
50,
3
at
years
50.
less.
Yeah.
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 The
50.
one
Incredible,
thing, I think the
50%.
biggest change, if I go back and forth, is in our 8+ year. Went from 25 to just 19 when we look at the businesses. So anybody on the call in the 8+ range for both? Is anyone here 8+ for loan originator and 8+ for broker lender? Congrats.
That will be me. I'm in
Awesome.
there. Yeah, James
awesome.
Vinny is in there
Congrats.
too. Yeah, we're in that category.
Yeah, awesome.
So we'll have to make a T-shirt that says 19% or something like that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
deal. Okay, my next slide has a lot of information on it. So let me break this down for you and kind of unpack it so you understand just kind of what this information is telling us. Took a look at the applications we receive by license type by month. So I'm looking at all of our mortgage licenses, broke those mortgage licenses down into loan originator, which is the blue, our mortgage businesses, that's going to be our brokers and our lenders, and our branches. So I'm looking by month here. I'm just going to use July of 21 as an example. And I use July through June. That's the office's fiscal year. The office's fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th. So I'm using our last fully completed fiscal year. So I'm going to use July 21 as an example. As you can see, we had a little over 1,700 loan originator applications, 122 business applications, and then 278 of our branch applications. And so you can kind of see over the fiscal year, February and March were significant.
Wow.
You kind of see the up and down. To really put it in perspective, go down to the bottom of my slide, and I just have it for loan originators here. But here's the monthly averages for previous years. So we're talking about that pre-pandemic, those license stats we kind of did the 2019 look. So in 2019, we were getting about 700 loan originator applications a month. So you can kind of see just how robust the application volume has been. We've been absolutely slammed. You got February here, we're hitting 3 times what we're used to getting. Got some other, so look at our business volume, our business average in 2019 was 60. So you can kind of take a look at the red. So we're kind of used to getting about 60 business apps, and we kind of doubled that up.
Wow.
And my branch average, I'll use 2019 again as an example. We're getting about 154 branch applications a month. So you can kind of see, February and March, it was kind of all hands on deck. We were just absolutely slammed with applications. So that slide has a lot in it, but I think it's just great to show.
It's a great slide.
This application volume just kind of supports those previous slides just on the growth.
Seeing it in a bar chart does help. So you kind of see the fluctuations and kind of how the market sort of increased. And then, and this may be somewhat a little bit depictive on the market, because I think James, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we opened up the beginning of this year, rates probably lower 4-ish, I would think. And then gradually as the year progressed, we saw rates start to incrementally increase. And again, kind of going with the theory that as rates increase, especially in that younger rung of population, originators that are 1 year or less in the business, but from your data, it's showing that still very robust in applications there.
So this next slide, Nathaniel, is probably going to support what you just said. So I continued it from July 2022 to November. So you can kind of see I'm going to use November. This is just kind of last month. We're at 707 for loan originator.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can kind of see, I'm going to go back to this other slide. So you can kind of see the soft landing. If you start in January of 22, we've kind of been going down, right? I'm going to use loan originators. So we're down 200, and we're down 400, we're down 100, carry it over, down 200, down 100. So we're slowly, we're kind of right now back to that 2019 look. I would say 2018, 2019 average, just in a snapshot right now.
Yeah, it's a great slide. Kind of great to see that.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, so let's take a look at renewals. Let's talk about renewal stats. So what this slide is showing is who's eligible for renewal. As you know, November 1st starts our renewal season. So this is a snapshot of the past 3 years. Who is eligible for renewal? How many? So I'll just use loan originator as an example. This November 1st, we had just over 70,000. Comparing it to previous years, that's a 62% increase from 2020, 17% increase from 2021. And this kind of goes with the other slides. A lot of the same. We just have a lot of people eligible for renewal because we have this great influx of licensees.
Yeah.
So what I have here is to take a look at the industry. Let's see who is renewing. And I thought the best way to do this was I pulled some. This is pretty much as live and as recent as I can get it for the presentation. So on December 12th, just 2 days ago, took a look at, well, where were we 1 year ago? What's the percentage of loan originators renewing? Just to get an idea of just comparing to last year. So for loan originators, I'll use them as the example again. A year ago, 67% of that 59,732 had renewed. They at least applied for renewal. They submitted their renewal. Right now, as of 2 days ago, we're at 52%. So we're down. So we're down compared to last year by 15%. So 52% of the 70,160 have applied for renewal. But I think that kind of goes a little bit, Nathaniel, what you were kind of saying about the rates and what you just were talking about. So
trajectory and market, right? So, and I think that's where the data for out-of-state licensees becomes relevant. As some of the out-of-state markets, those loan originators might choose, they may still be licensed in their state, but not renewing in Florida.
Right.
And
That
Bill,
would be great. Yes.
just to clarify, so that those statistics show those that have renewed or have applied for renewal already.
And I need to clarify that is requesting renewal. So they've just requested.
Thank you.
Which to me is saying that they want to stay in the industry. And we'll take a look at their renewal and review it, which is going to be my next slide. So this is it's the same look back. It's a 1 year look back. And what this is actually the performance of our office. And as I was saying before, the office the past few years has been absolutely slammed with the initial applications, which at times has hindered our ability to get to the renewals. As you saw in previous slides, just a few years ago, the staff had about 39,000 renewals potentially to look at. Now we're at 70. So I was looking at, one of the common questions is I've applied for renewal. I haven't gotten my approval yet or heard anything, kind of what's the status. So I'm happy to say this year, we were fortunate enough to be granted a few additional positions, and those positions are dedicated to the renewal process for the mortgage licenses. So about a year ago, the office had only reviewed about 45% of those renewals submitted, and I'm happy to say this year we're at 74%.
Okay.
So we're up 29%. So we're looking at stuff a lot quicker. We're a lot more efficient. We got some dedicated people. So that remaining 26% there is either waiting to be reviewed, or it's going to be assigned out shortly. But happy to say that making a lot of progress, and hoping to have this a lot quicker turnaround time this year on the renewal review. So let me give you go back. Let me give you some helpful renewal information. I picked out what I thought are going to kind of be the pain points for renewing. Probably, so we're in the last 2 weeks of the on-time renewal period. And some of the topics I picked out on these next few slides, probably we get in the last week, especially, we're going to get these topics. These are pain points. These are problems that people have who maybe have waited a little long to renew. Maybe they've waited to the last minute. And some of these problems, just based on the timing, we're not going to be able to help them with. So I want to just, if you haven't renewed yet, I would say time is of the essence. And I got a few slides here that are going to help you check these things out. Maybe it'll help you get through a little bit quicker to getting your renewal submitted, at least to NMLS to start. Just a reminder, on-time renewal period, November 1st, and it's going to end December 31st. Our late renewal period is January 1st through February 28th. Still have the ability to pay a late fee and do a few extra things and come back and work. March 1st is kind of like the drop dead. If it's March 1st and you haven't renewed, you're going to have to start from scratch. You're just going to start all over again, unfortunately. Kind of covered this a little bit. I'll just kind of say this again. Common question is, I've renewed on time. I've applied to renew. Let's say I applied today, and my renewal has not been approved yet. It's been submitted, but it has not been approved by the office. Your license remains active. You can continue to work until the application renewal has been reviewed and approved. It's a common question we get. As long as you've renewed on time, you are fine into the next year. So January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd comes, your renewal has not been approved yet. It's been submitted on time, but not approved. You are fine. Your license is active. You can continue to work. Here's one of the pain points. We're going to get these phone calls and emails probably the last week of the renewal season. The FBI and NMLS, and it's probably going to be mainly the FBI, has a policy about fingerprints. Your fingerprints are good for 3 years. And after that time period, need to be reprinted, get a fresh set of prints. People who will attempt to renew, they're attempting to renew the last week, they find out their prints are expired, they cannot even submit their renewal. Even though they're trying to do it on time, NMLS will not even accept their renewal. So at the last minute, someone's rushing out to find a live scan vendor who will print them so they can get those fresh prints to NMLS so they can submit their renewal. You can check this, log into NMLS, you can check this. If you're a company owner, if you own a business, you can check for your employees. And I think doing this ahead of time will kind of probably weed out a lot of problems. Continuing education is also probably in the last week of the renewal season. We just get a lot of questions about continuing education requirements, and I got another slide for that. NMLS puts out some what they call smart deadlines, which I think are pretty good to follow. These are the smart deadlines this year. And I think one of the pain points is some people may wait towards the end of the renewal season to take their continuing education. And it's my understanding that those providers of the continuing education, they have a certain amount of days to get your completed course to NMLS to give you credit so you can renew on time. So some people who might finish their continuing education on December 30th, that provider may not get it to NMLS on time, which is going to prevent you from renewing. So again, if you haven't finished that CE yet, you might want to probably work on it right after this presentation. Get that in as get that done as quick as possible so we can have an on-time renewal. That'd be great. That'd be great for everyone. And just a reminder on that continuing education requirement, it's 8 hours. 1 hour has to be Florida specific. So just make sure your provider is, the class you're picking is what you need, and that provider is giving you the right course.
Probably a good time to remind the group that we here at the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals do provide a live class in all of our chapters. So certainly as you go into next year, be on the lookout for that. We've concluded this year with a classroom alternative that was a web-based class. So you always have the opportunity to take a class with us. So consider us for that next class if you haven't already for next year.
Other thing is just if you happen to renew late, there's actually a late continuing education course that you'll have to take, and it's actually specifically noted as late CE. So again, just make sure if you fall into that category, you're taking the right class to get the credit, so we can get you get you back to work and approved and everything. So I put a slide in here just to kind of help everyone out. You may have renewed on time, and we might just have a question about your renewal. We're going to post what's called a license item. We post a license item in NMLS. Probably the most important thing is people don't get the license item because their email address is not current. So when the office posts a license item, we have a question about the renewal. We're just maybe requesting some documentation on something. NMLS will actually send you an email to the email address on file. So just make sure that's current. That will probably save everyone a lot of pain. Just make sure that email address is updated. You can also log into NMLS and you can check it manually, but I think the email feature is really nice. And when you review that license item, just read it, provide the documentation to the analyst. The analyst should be posting their email address in the license item. So if you have a question, just send them an email. Renewal questions. If you have a question, I wanted to break it up into 2 paths to make sure you get to the right place. I think if it's a navigation issue at logging into NMLS, I know NMLS got a lot of buttons to click, so you might get a little lost in the navigation. Call NMLS, they'll walk you through the navigation part and filing everything. If you have a Florida specific question, is kind of how I labeled it, a Florida specific renewal question, just about maybe something I've covered previously or anything else that's specific to Florida, please call our phone number, or you can email us. And that email address, you might have another email address for the office. I created this email address a few years ago. It's kind of specific just for 494, our mortgage industry questions. So we're monitoring that. We know that email address is going to be very important, especially the next few weeks. But feel free to use any one of those 2 methods to contact us. That's the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions, Nathaniel.
Thank you. So I don't know if perhaps anybody out there, if you have any specific questions from the Office of Financial Regulation, please feel free to put them in the chat box. Bill, I appreciate you going over that data. James, that's some interesting stuff though, isn't it? As we kind of see the licensure and we see how kind of that progression in Florida over the 10 years. And as many of us have thought about and the minds of many is as we start to see kind of the shift in market, that licensure comes down. But it'd be really fascinating, Bill, to find out of that licensure that's kind of gone down, how many of them are out of state originators?
Yeah.
I'll get that to you. That's going to be something to look at.
Yeah, it'd be really good to look at.
Bill, I had a question about that. So in the presentation, you had that renewals were down year over year about 15%. And I think a lot of us in the industry, given market conditions, thought that that would be a much larger number. Historically, have you ever seen renewals go down in the state of Florida, or have they always been on an upward trajectory?
Probably in recent years, James, I would say it's been upward trajectory. We're generally probably, I'd say the last maybe 4, 5, 6 years, probably in the mid 80s to high 80s to low 90s in renewal percentages. So last year we're probably, or 2 years ago, we're probably mid 90s in terms of how many people are renewing their mortgage license. Well, obviously, based on the market conditions, a lot of people were renewing. Right now, I'm not exactly sure. We're probably on pace right now, probably somewhere in the 80s. But with the last 2 weeks, we could just see a sharp drop off on. I'm not sure if everyone who has renewed on April 14th. Are we still going to have a push here the last 2 weeks? I don't know that. So right now we're down a little bit, but probably on pace for somewhere in the 80s. Still got 2 weeks left though.
Thank you. Nathaniel, there's a question in the chat about net worth requirements. Do you want me to cross that?
Sure, please go right ahead.
One of the attendees, Bill, is asking if you could confirm the net worth requirements for broker and lender renewal.
So the mortgage broker does not have that net worth requirement in Florida. So for the brokers, no requirement. The lenders have $63,000 for a non-servicer, and I think $250 for the servicer. Those are not going to be necessarily confirmed at renewal. You can submit your renewal. What's going to happen is your financial audit report is going to be due 120 days after your fiscal year end. Probably about 90% of you, 90% of the industry's fiscal year end is 12/31. So December 31st. So about April is when we'll start to see those financial audit reports come in, and we will review your net worth. So it is possible for your renewal to be reviewed and approved because your financial audit report isn't even due until April. So it's very possible you'll renew, and then we have staff that's going to look at that financial audit report in April, May, June when it's submitted.
Understood. Okay.
That helps.
And we have another question, and I don't know if you had aggregated this data, but do you know approximately how many people have submitted for their renewal but have not yet been renewed?
I don't that so I think we gave, we'll go back here real quick. I think we gave I look at this real quick. So right now 74% have been approved. That other 26% is probably assigned to an analyst, or is in the near future will be assigned to an analyst to review. And just keep in mind when I say assigned to an analyst, it's probably being assigned to an analyst in a group of hundreds. So if I say it was assigned today, that analyst probably got a few hundred renewals to look at. So just keep that in mind. If you're having if you submitted your renewal and you're having a little bit of anxiety, as I would say, about, hey, I'm not approved yet, you can email me. I'll take a look at it. Or you can always go to our the OFR email address. If I get that email, I'd be happy to take a look at it.
Thank you.
Some anxiety, definitely.
There is another question on, someone is asking, hi, I'm new to the state of Florida. Is there a resource, i.e. phone number, email, etc., where I can discuss expectation that the state of Florida has for examinations? Again, i.e. File retention, required documentation, the exam process, etc.
If you have a general question, I send it to that email address, and we'll get it to the right person, and we'll give you some general information that we can answer just based on the question. But yeah, be happy to take that question. That's probably the best place to send it. But again, if you send it to me, I'll be happy to look at it too.
James, you want to grab the next question?
Sure. Same individual is asking, what is the rationale requiring a financial condition report for broker business since there is no net worth requirement? Could you address that?
Yeah, that's probably a little bit on our enforcement side. A lot of those call reports are mandated by the registry, and the registry being NMLS. So that more falls into a kind of a SAFE Act requirement. As we know, we're all mandated to use NMLS through the SAFE Act. It's probably a little more of just an overall requirement that I think pretty much everyone is doing. I wish I could give you a little bit better answer on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. In the interim, while some individuals might be addressing some additional questions, again, you can see Bill's information up here. He's wonderful to work with. So thank you, Bill. And we appreciate your presentation this morning, as well as Greg Oakes as well, for all that the both of you do. Just kind of a quick update to many of you, just so that you know, we here at the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals attended. There's a special session of the House and Senate happening now. The governor had called with regards to property insurance reform. Yesterday, myself and Government Affairs Chair Michael Pearson attended with lobbyist Sean Stafford from McGuire Woods. We attended one of the House committee meetings, and we're happy and delighted to announce that the Senate and the House did pass the reform bill with respect to insurance as it relates to litigation and some additional regulation. Please be on the lookout for an email for some more information from us here at the FAMP with regards to that specific bill and what the outcome is and what it means for you as a licensed individual and those originating in the state. The bill will now go to appropriations in the House and likely be finalized and go into law very, very soon. So a lot of good information, but please be on the lookout for that messaging and email coming out from our Government Affairs Committee with regards again to what the bill means and how it applies to you and how it can help you. Well, Bill, I want to thank you again for your time this morning. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. Seems like there's no other questions in the chat box. Is that correct, James?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. As usual, we appreciate your membership here at the FAMP. And if you're not a member, very important to make sure that you become a member. So again, as our voices are being heard here in Tallahassee, and a lot of things coming up here in the future with condo reform and many other things, we do want to make sure that we have a very strong membership as we approach a lot of lawmakers, the legislator and regulators in our state to make sure that our industry is moving forward aggressively here in the state of Florida. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week.